Our guest today is Malik Dahlan. Malik is a professor of international law and of public policy at the Queen Mary University of London. And we're going to ask him what a post-COVID world might look for Muslim societies.
My own view is that there is going to be a self-reflection for all of the Abrahamic family because of this pandemic, because of the burden that was felt on the soul, if you may. A return to God is inevitable. There is going to be more of a anchoring of faith.
A lot of the ritual and practice of faith is about congregation. It is about coming together. How do you see that playing out in this current moment, which is also so much about social distancing, about self-isolation?
Some societies, Muslim societies, have dealt with this issue more resiliently. I suppose in Asia, specifically, when you look at Indonesia, Malaysia. I fear in some places in the Arabian Peninsula and that part of the world, there is still a level of being captured by the technicality of the law rather than the intention of the law. It's pushing to the forefront a moment where jurisprudence needs to be reconsidered in the Muslim world. So, in essence, this is no longer becoming a theological point, but rather a legal and jurisprudential point. Is the form of prayer and how it is congregated more important than focusing on the humanitarian crisis that is going to affect most of these countries in the Muslim world?
For many Muslim societies, one of the most vivid images of this moment will be the mosque in Mecca, the Kaaba, being emptied out because of social distancing. What do you think might be the implications of that image for Muslims in a post-COVID world?
I personally agree with the decision. It is a deeply difficult image. All of a sudden, you see this complete emptiness. On the one hand, Muslims find this very difficult, almost feeling like you're eerie and almost feeling left abandoned, not the other way around. I feel like during these times in Ramadan, as I fast in prayers, we tend to have a dialogue, najwa, with God. And here I am, as I look at the pandemic and think about it, I feel God is saying, you thought we couldn't stop transportation, we couldn't stop planes, demand for oil, shut down everything. Here you have it. This is a virus. Practice.
There is this concept of the Muslim Ummah, the Muslim solidarity, if you will, which is not as much about the national boundaries of Muslim countries, but of the larger Muslim community of faith across the world. How do you think this moment of COVID has impacted it?
It's an interesting conceptualization moment because for many, many years, and including with the rise of the Islamic State, ISIS, there was a confusion about what ummah means and what statehood means. And as you said, perhaps the closest definition to what ummah is this idea of solidarity. And because we're going through this right now, during the pandemic, the solidarity seems to encompass all humans. Different societies reacted differently. What's coming up to the surface is the issue of the extent of authoritarianism in some of these countries, or most of these countries, to be frank. But at the same time, it's offering itself as a moment that Muslims are not simply cast as terrorists, and they're not cast as Islamic revolutionists or members of political Islam, but as a quarter of the world's population